have his face.
Joe.
He's Patrick Mahomes, Zachary.
And he has looked like not Patrick Mahomes the whole start of the season.
Why are you going to a second overtime with this team? You really want a shootout with Caleb Williams?
There's a problem, Kurt.
Don't hate me. Hate the light pole. Don't hate me. Hate the light pole.
If you say the Bucks, it was the Lions. Whatever. They lost. Here's
Beautiful
why.
game, by the way.
Here's why they lost.
I have been on the Lions side since day
I
one.
keep breaking my chair.
Zach just went right
I'm
for
on
Joe's
NCDC's.
chin there. If put up or shut up was a weekend of college football, boys, I think it was this weekend. A lot of blowout games. As far as the NFL goes, we got some Titans falling this weekend. Chiefs go down. Niners have now lost 3 straight. We got a lot of drama across the league this weekend. A lot to talk about tonight. This is our most jam-packed episode by far. We've got about 19 different topics to get to tonight, so we'll time crunch wise, we'll definitely try to get on that pretty quick here. I said we got a lot to go over this weekend. Same format per the usual when it comes to college football. We're going to go through winners and losers first. I think that's the best way to get through it all under time constraints. Before we get started, got to ask you guys a favor. I don't ask this a lot, but I do ask it from time to time. Subscribe, hit the thumbs up, just flip your phone real quick. Go down, subscribe. If you're listening over on podcast, follow over there. Give that a rating. Let us know how you guys are feeling overall. Interact with us down below in the comments. We love that. We try to interact back every single time. Obviously, smaller audience, we can do that right now, which is really nice. We like to interact with you guys, so make sure you're interacting down below. But with that said, let's just get right into college football here. Again, we've got winners and losers of the weekend, week 9 college football. We are going to start off. We've got Georgia. Georgia shut us up this weekend. Not necessarily. We were still talking positively of them last week. Still giving them a shot at that 3-peat, but they're a very beatable team right now. After this weekend, they're maybe looking like they're not all that beatable, to be honest. Brock Bowers is out, and we were wondering who would step up on this team, and it was just about everybody. It was just about everybody. Georgia walked into the world's largest cocktail party. Beautiful discontinued rivalry name, by the way.
Great name.
And they toasted up a big glass to sit down and shut up. Beating Florida 43-20 this weekend. 43-20 is even closer than this game actually looked. We got some notable numbers here. DeJuan Edwards had 16 carries for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. Georgia's additional run game added 19 carries for another 79 yards and a touchdown. Ladd McConkey went off at that receiver position in the position of Bowers and had 6 receptions for 135 yards and a touchdown. Georgia's defense had 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, one of those being a recovered fumble. I'm sorry we doubted the Bulldogs because, man, this team looks more alive than they've looked all season right now.
Yeah, the most impressive thing for me was how big that defense stepped up. Like, we knew that Georgia's defense was good, but, like, we haven't seen them just kind of shut down an offense like they did this weekend. Like, not shut down an offense, but, like, just come alive as much as they did. They were flying over the field.
We're talking about a Kirby Smart-led team, and what Kirby Smart is known for is his defense. So, obviously, to make up for that big loss of Brock Bowers, you have to get the defense electrified and ready to win this game. I'm not surprised at all. If I've learned anything about Kirby Smart over the last couple of years is that you really shouldn't count this man out because he'll find a way.
Kirby Smart, he called on the dogs this weekend, literally. Called on the dogs this weekend, called for some playmakers to step up and make plays, and that's exactly what we saw with this one.
Got a guy named Ladd McConkey.
They
Who
do.
the heck is that?
He's a stud, dude. He's been a little.
That's a name right there.
He's been a little under wraps just because of how many weapons Georgia kind of has all over the ball. They don't really have a standout guy other than Brock Bowers because they have guys at every position that can step up and make plays. So you don't really get household names out of that. But if anyone's going to step up and become that Georgia household name, it's going to be him. Is Georgia still primed for another title? And the biggest reason I ask this question is because you look at the current season of college football and there's gaps. There's gaps everywhere. There's a wide opening for winning the title right now. And Georgia looks like they're just still right up in that window to me.
For me, they're still my second team to win it. Like I see them as definitely getting to the playoffs and potentially winning it. But I mean, for me, it's still Oregon winning it all.
I definitely think they're going to have a walk to the SEC championship. I'm not going to lie. I think Kirby Smart's had this experience the last couple of years and has been there, over the last like 3, 4, 5 years. Don't be surprised if Georgia does three-peat. I said this earlier this year.
You did.
You did. People are calling me crazy, but I'm telling you, don't be surprised when Kirby Smart does it.
I'll say Georgia's been your pick this whole time.
The whole time.
Great looks out of the Dogs this weekend. We got our first loser here.
Go Dogs.
Primetime blowouts. We were really, really excited for this weekend, and it delivered in the second half of the day. But that early window, I know I called this primetime blowouts. These were all in the early window games, but that early window delivered just a lot of disgusting games. The one thing you start to see towards midseason in college football is you start to see teams lose or hit their stride, and some teams start to lose their stride. You see some teams get left in the dust, and that's a lot of what you saw this weekend. Some of the notable blowouts, Oregon, Utah. 35-6 Oregon. Nice pick there, Zach. Texas also 35-6 over BYU. BYU isn't necessarily a top of the pack team, but still it's, Texas just lost Quinn Ewers, so we're expecting a little bit of a battle there, but we did not get that. Georgia 43-20 over Florida. We talked about that one. This one we actually predicted. Louisville 23 to goose egg over Duke. We talked about that one. We predicted that one, so I'm not too surprised on that one. Exactly what we said would happen. Duke didn't even look like a football team in this one.
Yeah. I'm surprised they at least didn't score. I was expecting them at least maybe reach the end zone, at least kick a field goal. But Louisville's defense just kind of shut them down. Like they did exactly like what you were just saying that we thought they were going to do, and just made Riley Leonard try to win the ball or win the game by throwing the ball. It didn't work.
No.
Stick to basketball.
Joe agrees with that one. It looks like
I agree. Seeing Texas win this big without Quinn Ewers has got to be something that you got to look at. Like, okay, this Texas team is still Texas, even though they're without their guy. Oregon, obviously, coming off of a couple close games, and then in a tough loss to Washington.
Yeah.
That's this is what you wanted to see out of this Oregon team and Bo Nix. And I watched a good majority of this game, and Bo Nix looked really good. So
I want to point out, like I've got down here, all these teams got bit last week by exactly what we talked about by that trap game. Ironically, all four of these teams, Louisville, not last week, but Louisville the week before their bye, lost to Pitt. They got bit there. Georgia lost Brock Bowers and nearly lost a football game to Vanderbilt. Texas almost blew a 4-score lead to Houston after losing Quinn Ewers, and Oregon nearly slipped to Washington State, pulled away at the end there, but nearly slipped to Washington State ultimately. And all four of those teams bounced back really, really well. And for injury reasons, a lot of those teams we didn't expect to bounce back. For that Washington State close game with Oregon, we expected them to be a lot closer with Utah. And these teams all just bounced back really, really well this weekend.
Yeah, I feel like as a Texas fan especially, you got to be really happy with how your defense came back and kind of stepped up with, it's like we're talking about with Georgia. It was kind of next man up, and instead of next man up, it was that entire defense came up and played really well against BYU after almost embarrassing themselves against the team that they should have continuously blown out in Houston.
With that said, we've got a team I know neither of you want to talk about. We got Kansas. Kansas made history this weekend in Lawrence. They gained their first win over a top 10 team in Lawrence since 1984. Beating Oklahoma 38-33. Ironically, this top 10 win comes against Oklahoma, which was their last top 10 win against Troy Aikman-led Sooners team back in 1984. Ugly plays all around due to weather. You had a delay in this game. I was a little confused. I was flipping between games this weekend, and I saw this channel, and West Virginia was playing on it. I was like, what's going on? But I was on the road at that time, so I didn't know what was going on there. I was not on my phone while driving. Either way, rain made this game really sloppy, really ugly. Probably assisted Kansas's defense a little bit here, and it made this an obtainable game. Put those goalposts in the river there in Lawrence.
That is so ridiculous to me.
I love it.
I was watching a video. It was just like 8 Donnies just carrying the goalposts down the jail out of the Jayhawk Stadium. Like, how did they just let this happen? But I mean, to talk about the game, like Kansas just kind of made Dylan Gabriel uncomfortable all game. Like he just could never get into a rhythm. Their defense looked really good. I mean, for me this week, this whole college football was just kind of dominated by powerful defenses. And obviously we saw offenses click really well, but like defenses showed up and showed out. Shout out to that Kansas for making the Big 12 just completely wide open now. And maybe you see Iowa State sneak in. I don't think that crazy of a thing's going to happen, but
I don't see why not. Mean, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Texas, and Oklahoma are all tied for number 1 right now. That conference is ridiculously wide open right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, but are we going to see Kansas Big 12 championship? I hope not.
Joe?
I also hope not. But that being said,
stick to basketball again.
I think Kansas looks good, obviously, especially against the team that we thought was basically going to walk to the Big 12 championship game to play Texas, and throwing a wrench in it like always, as happens per usual in the Big 12. There's always a couple teams that beat up on the top teams, and then all of a sudden there's just the biggest wide open race for who's going to win.
Yeah.
That being said, who knows? We'll see. We'll see with this Kansas team. They got the moxie. They got the hunger. They want it.
Yeah.
We'll see how far it takes them.
They're going bowling for, I believe, the 3rd time under Leipold, with a very, very favorable remaining schedule. I believe you see Texas Tech, Cincinnati. They might still have Houston on there. I don't know, but their toughest matchup remaining is Iowa State this weekend. With a really favorable remaining schedule, you could see a dumb, miraculous 10-win season here, and I know you guys will love this one. Kansas adding football school to their resume this season.
That's disgusting.
I had to throw it in. I know you guys would like
it. Wins out and go and kind of handles his teams. Are we seeing Kansas in the playoffs?
Probably not playoffs. It's a Kansas team with 2 losses.
That would be disgusting.
Probably not playoffs. You'd see a New Year's Six bowl out of them likely. You'd get to go see them play Tennessee or Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, if that's not one of the playoff locations
Joe looks
this year.
disgusted. He looks just disgusted.
We'll move on
I have
to
no words. I have no words.
We'll move on to our 3rd basketball school of the college football segment here.
Yeah.
North Carolina.
The blue bloods are coming out.
2 weeks ago, we were talking about this North Carolina team as one of the most potent offenses in college football, which is still true. It remains true. Definitely a potent offense, but same old with a Mac Brown team. Defense bites them. Defense has bit them 2 weeks in a row now, and this team from 2 weeks ago, we were saying they might run the table in the ACC. We might see a basketball championship game, and now they're 2 losses into their conference with some unfavorable games coming up, and it's sad to see. It's sad to see, man. I was really high on this North Carolina team, and now this season feels like it's kind of fading away a little bit here. I want to read some numbers from this Georgia Tech game here. They lost 46-42 this weekend to Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets scored 22 fourth-quarter points and had, in the fourth quarter alone, 246 rushing yards. Quarterback Haynes King also added 287 yards and 4 touchdowns in the air. We want number totals here. 635 total yards for Georgia Tech. They went 8 for 13 on 3rd down, gathered 29 first downs. That's not getting off the field. Forced a fumble as well. And to add insult to injury, North Carolina had their worst game this season on penalties, had 8 of them for about 65 yards.
Pretty sure I had that same stat line in Madden last night. Good golly.
I will say this about the North Carolina Tar Heels. As someone who was really high on this team, I thought the offense looked really explosive. Obviously, the defense looked better towards the beginning of the season when they really weren't playing much competition. Now teams are, trying to find out who they're going to be this year. And you don't see a Georgia Tech team really throw the football. So 287 and 4 touchdowns in the air is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
They've always been known for really just hammering you in the run with obviously 246 rushing yards in the fourth quarter alone. That is Georgia Tech football to a T. You don't win ball games when you allow things like that to happen.
No, they didn't.
And it's just real sad to see.
They really didn't do a single good thing this game on either side of the ball. Just 2 embarrassing outings for North Carolina. Like I said, that season's pretty much, it's not over. It's still college football. Like you're playing for a bowl game still. You're playing for pride. You're playing for tradition. But at this point, you're playing for basketball season, like we've been talking about. We got another winner here. Big 12 is still really, really hopeful for an ugly OU Texas farewell tour, and this weekend helped that. Kansas takes down OU, made the race, like Joe said, a lot more interesting. Iowa State, K-State, Kansas are entering the mix, as well as Oklahoma State, who looked really ugly in out-of-conference play, right up there, tied for first right now. This conference looks weird right now. And we figured this. We figured this coming in. Texas and Oklahoma looked really, really scary early in the season. And now all of a sudden, some other teams start to hit their strides. And this conference looks just about as wide open as we thought it might be, even with the Texas and Oklahoma looking as powerful as they are.
Yeah, I think this week's going to kind of show what teams are actually like legit or not. We've seen teams hit strides, but we've seen Iowa State they've performed pretty well the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Realistically throughout the season, besides I think 2 games where they kind of laid an egg. Iowa State's right up there. Oklahoma State didn't look great this weekend, but they're still Oklahoma State and they've played pretty solid all year. It's not as much of a cakewalk as anymore as I thought. I still think Texas comes out of this as the best team in the Big 12, and I think they kind of prove themselves. But if I'm Oklahoma, I'm a little more nervous going into the rest of my schedule.
I agree.
I think if I'm Oklahoma, I put the pause on the panic meter for a little bit, because you got to be able to just take that loss to Kansas and realize, hey, that's a good football team. Like, this is not the Kansas of we have a new
Does this
hurt you? Does this hurt you right now? It burns my heart up so much. I can't deal with it. But that being said, I still don't think Kansas is gonna make it to the Big 12 championship. Yeah. There's still Oklahoma, there's still Texas, Oklahoma State, struggles,
they got the Cyclones this weekend.
There's still a Mike Gundy led team. That guy knows how to coach a football team.
Second longest tenured head coach in college football.
Still wide open. A lot of gross, but hopefully very fun and interesting games coming up. We'll see. I don't have a pick at this point because, this is wide open.
Thanks for that transition there, Joe. Speaking of interesting matchups coming up in the Big 12, this weekend alone, you've got K-State, Texas. This is Texas's real test to me. BYU wasn't quite that. This Kansas State team is laying points lately. They're blowing teams out. They're off of back-to-back 40-point blowouts, I believe. You got Bedlam. The last ever Bedlam matchup this weekend between Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has lost, I think, 91 of these. Of their 117 matchups, Oklahoma State's lost about 91 of them. But you can get the eternal scoreboard on this one if you just win this weekend. We got Iowa State, Kansas. Next weekend, we got West Virginia, Oklahoma. Really excited for that matchup. Week 12, we've got Kansas State. Kansas versus Diet Kansas. That should be fun. Texas, Iowa State that weekend as well. And then week 13, per the usual, we got Farmageddon, ISU versus K-State. Stupid excited for that game.
Did you just call them Diet Kansas?
Diet Kansas,
I've never
baby.
heard that before. That's funny. I like that.
Really excited for the matchups to end the Big 12 season here because it's going to unfold, and I don't think a single person out there can predict how it's going to unfold going forward.
Yeah, a lot of fun games to end the season, which is nice because I mean, Big 12 is a notoriously really good conference, and seeing it kind of end this way is, I feel like at the end of the year, we're going to know who for sure is the best team in this conference.
Yeah.
I think in order for us to actually do that, though, there has to be like a team that is rolling, like at the end, like is going to be continuously putting these games out and not looking at their competition in the way that they do any other competition. Like
I will say right now, I do not think the Big 12 has a playoff team this year. I think we cannibalize ourselves to the point where I don't think that's going to end up being a possibility there. Final loser on the winners and losers. Colorado likely probably not going bowling this season. To preface this, Dion already answered this question. He doesn't give a damn. It doesn't matter to him. He's got the future in mind. He knows what he needs to fix. Dion does not care about a bowl game. But we do. We're talking college football here. We do care about a bowl game. We're talking about this team very, very highly after 3-4 weeks of football. And now here they are. They've had some heartbreakers here. That Stanford game this weekend was really ugly for them. Offensive line issues have been huge. This Colorado team has really fallen off a mountain here. They've dropped 4 of their last 5. Dion is outright blaming his offensive line, saying that's going to get fixed for his son's misfortunes. And national media has pretty much all but dropped the topic of Dion and the Buffs for the remainder of this season here. Remaining schedule, you see Oregon State. You see a rising Arizona. We don't have them on topic tonight, but very impressed with what that Arizona team has done the last few weeks. They got Wazoo. They got Utah as well. Bowl odds have plummeted very, very low. I think it's at like plus 16,000 right now for them to make a bowl.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went from being one of the hottest teams in the country with an offense that almost couldn't be stopped and was clicking on pretty much all cylinders and a defense that was also looking pretty solid to kind of a laughingstock right now that of a team that's like just dropped games that they definitely should not have dropped. Like at the beginning of the year, we would have kind of wrote these games off almost. But I mean, I think obviously he knows Baltimore and all of us combined. He knows that his offensive line is not it. And I'm kind of surprised he didn't do more to address it during the season. I mean, I know it makes it a little difficult during season, but I'm surprised he didn't shift things up more than what he did. I mean, just seeing what he did in the offseason, completely overhauling the team and bringing in, 87 new recruits or something like that?
Something like that. I
don't know. If I'm Colorado, as a Colorado fan, I would still be content with how this year is turning out. Because obviously, they were, I think, 1-win team last year and projected 3 this season.
They're projected 3 this season.
You know, first year, they proved that they are going to be able to compete with some of the top teams that aren't quite to the upper echelon that people thought they were going to be. But, you know, give them a year, give them 2 years, and they're going to be up there.
Yeah.
Hopefully. They've got the talent.
Don't lose your faith in Deion Sanders as a head coach.
Absolutely not.
That's all I have to say. Like, don't lose your faith in Deion because, as Zach said, that guy knows ball more than all of us combined. So he'll be okay. The offensive line obviously is not working. He'll have to fix that in recruiting. He'll have to fix that in, getting guys transfers, whatever he's got to do. He'll be okay.
Here's my spiel with Colorado. Love this team. Love what they've done. Love what Deion's done with this group. You're probably going to get a lot of these guys to return, including both of his sons. I don't think Shedeur is quite ready for the NFL. I don't think a lot of these guys are quite ready for the NFL. Even Travis Hunter's looked like he could use a little more development in these latter weeks of the season. But that said, if there's a guy to develop with, it's Deion Sanders. He's been incredible. Obviously, he's a really good mentor to these kids. This team like Zach mentioned there, 87 transfers, I think, roughly. They had like 3 returning players total to this team, and even them I don't think are still around. You were a one-win team last year. You haven't made a bowl since I was born. You haven't won anything in probably 5 years. And he brought this team in with a 3-win projected total. I still think he's going to hit probably that 5 mark yet. And you did things you weren't supposed to do. You might hit 2 over your win total, which is unprecedented. Vegas is almost never wrong with those. I'm very impressed with what this team has done. He took a crappy situation and he turned it into gold. I don't even mean with wins. I mean business-wise, he turned it into gold.
Yeah.
And
Money.
the dude's got a lot going for him. And I'm just really impressed with what Colorado did this year. Season's not over. We're talking like this is their funeral. But really impressed with what they did this year.
He lies, Colorado Buffaloes.
I'm excited to see what they do going forward for sure.
One thing that, realistically, I feel like they should have won this week. Shiloh Sanders getting ejected from that game
Gross targeting
was
call.
Complete garbage.
Terrible call.
We don't have to get into that, but I think if he plays the rest of that game, he's a huge leader on that defense.
Yeah.
And
that was early,
he has shown
right?
up. Yeah, I think it was midway through the.
I thought it was second quarter, but either way.
It was either late first or midway through the second. It was sometime early. And he had a huge impact on the game and has had a huge impact on their season. So losing him that early is definitely a difference maker.
For sure. That said, this weekend of college football, I'm gonna be honest, I don't say this a lot, wasn't my favorite, but we got a stupid good weekend coming up. I've got 5 games coming up for us this weekend. Normally we talk about 3 matchups. I got 5 of them. We're starting with number 10 Oklahoma going to Oklahoma State. This could be first place in the Big 12. We got Bedlam here after like I mentioned before, 117 game series. Oklahoma leads 91-19 with 17 ties, but they lead 91-19. But Oklahoma
17
State
ties is disgusting.
Oklahoma State could tack on that eternal scoreboard game here. Oklahoma fans would not be too happy with that. Emotions are going to be stupidly high in this game. With this being potentially the last one, Oklahoma's rising. Mike Gundy's about as petty as they come. The Hateful Eight, the remaining Big 12 teams, about as petty as they come. They want to win these games more than any other game. Who do we got in this one?
No part of me wants to bet on Oklahoma because they just hurt my heart last week.
You don't got to bet on them. Just give a pick.
This one's hard for me. I want to say it's Oklahoma because I think Dylan Gabriel kind of has a bounce back week. I don't think Oklahoma State's defense is nearly to the ranking of Kansas. I think they have a much better pass rush and they can make teams uncomfortable in that way. And I don't think Oklahoma State can make Dylan Gabriel uncomfortable. I think the weather conditions played a lot in it. I like Oklahoma to take this one.
As the great J. Cole once said, history repeats itself, and that's just how it goes.
You took my line.
I just don't see as much respect as I have for Mike Gundy and a lot of Mike Gundy-led Oklahoma State Cowboys teams. I just don't think that they have what it takes to take down this Oklahoma team. Dylan Gabriel obviously just had a rough game. He's going to be looking to bounce back in this one. Brett Venables is going to figure it out defensively again because he's that kind of coach. He's not the kind to sit back and take an L like that lightly.
Yeah.
Give me Oklahoma.
You took my line, but I'm going to use it anyway. History repeats itself. History has repeated itself 91 times in this one. I don't see it changing a whole lot. This Brent Venables defense is going to suffocate Oklahoma State's weird style. Petty Big 12 games are my favorite Big 12 games. I think this one could be stupid close, but I'm a lean with you guys. I'm going to go Oklahoma in this one as well.
I didn't even know college football teams could tie, if you want my full honesty.
Yeah, they can't anymore. Way back when.
I didn't think so.
Way back when.
Okay.
We've got number 1, Georgia, undefeated still. This is that test. This is the test for Georgia. They're at home. That's beneficial. Taking on number 14, Missouri. I'll go through the notes here. Missouri is a much different team than Florida. Missouri is one of the most dynamic teams right now in college football. They are one of the only teams in college, a little bit of a LeBron stat here, but they're one of the only college football teams throwing for over 280 yards and rushing for over 150 in a game right now. Georgia being one of the others. But either way, Brady Cook has thrown for 2,200 yards and 15 touchdowns this season. He actually plays better in terms of yardage per game and QBR against top 25 opponents. Keys for me with this Missouri team, you got to win the turnover battle. You have to control time of possession, extend drives, get ahead of the chains. You got to control time of possession. Do not let Carson Beck have a chance to control this game. Do not let him have extra opportunities with the football because this Georgia team is still dangerous. You got to control that clock. And on top of that, you got to find a way to stop this Georgia passing game. Even with Brock Bowers down, it seems they're still going to torch you all night, no matter the circumstances. What I say to Missouri is good luck doing all three of those. This Georgia team proved to me last weekend that they're still really good. 15.5, disrespectful. Give me Missouri plus 15.5. That is the spread in this game. But with that said,
That's crazy.
Give me Georgia to win this game. I still think the dogs are going to roll in this one.
A 15.5 point is an absolute absurd spread.
Disgusting.
But Vegas knows. Maybe I'll take it. I do like Georgia to win this game. I think their defense is significantly better than what Missouri's offense can be. I think Missouri has a really good offense, but I don't think they can compete with the Georgia. You got to beat the man to be the man, and I think Georgia continues to win out. And I just got not 15.5. 15.5 is crazy.
I agree with both of you. I think Kirby Smart is he's in his prime right now in his coaching. The Georgia Bulldogs are in like franchise mode. They're getting it done. Give me the dogs. Go dogs.
Go dogs.
They want history.
I have a lot of respect. For this Missouri team. Being 7-1 in the SEC and in non-conference play is very good for a team like this that we have not seen anything out of in quite a few years. Honestly, this Missouri
coming out the
football
woodworks.
team has not been good. But I like to see Missouri good, but I just don't think they have what it takes against
this
the dogs.
Missouri team is like Big 12 basketball right now. They're old. They've got a lot of vets on that team, like TCU last year. They've got the experience, and it's showing in their games for sure.
For some reason, Missouri is just, to me, I just don't like them. I don't know what it is about Missouri, but I just don't like them.
Close proximity to the Chiefs. That's my guess.
There's a very high chances that's it. But
we've got number 5. We got number 5 Washington at 8-0, going on the road to take on number 24 USC. Here's the thing with USC. Everyone has talked like their season is over. Again, you got Emmanuel Acho telling Caleb Williams to sit out, blah, blah, blah. They barely won this weekend, but a win is a win. This team's only got one conference loss. Guess who's still in second place in the Pac-12? Tied for it, but still in second place in the Pac-12. This team right here. You've got to match up against a Washington team who neither one of you play any defense. You get in a shootout, and guess what? They've got Michael Penix Jr. You've got Caleb Williams. That's like having Loki versus the Hulk right there. Like, you got two studs right there. And I hope you guys get that reference. I
like the Loki pull. I like the Loki pull.
Either way, you got two studs here. You got studs on offense. To me, this game comes down to that one big stop. I said this week 2 about one of our games as well. This is another one of those. It's a shootout game. It is going to come to that one big stop. Lincoln Riley doesn't get those. Alex Grinch doesn't get those. USC doesn't get those. So to me, I'm going to lean Washington, even on the road here. I think USC could have a really good game here. They could stun some people. Caleb Williams is a dog. But Michael Penix is still on that Heisman campaign. Just had 3 touchdowns this weekend. He's going to do it again. Give me Washington in this one.
I think you're right in regards that we're going to see kind of a stunning this weekend, and I think it comes in form of Washington kind of putting it to this USC team. I think that offense is super good, and I think they just kind of do what they want with USC's defense. And I think Washington's defense, we've seen that they've been pretty solid. I mean, they gave up 36 or 33 to Oregon.
33, I believe.
Which obviously isn't great, but I mean, for doing that against Oregon, I like it. I think Washington kind of puts the screws to them and shows that they're one of the top teams in the country and deserve a little more respect.
I like it.
I tend to lean towards USC in this one a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. We talked about the Emmanuel Acho thing, and Caleb Williams obviously is not that guy. He's going to continue to fight. He's going to continue to be a dog. Yep. But all of that being said, I still think Washington is going to walk away with the W in this one. They beat an Oregon team who we thought was going to be the team in the Pac-12 this year and was going to be leading the Pac-12. Michael Penix Jr. put on a show. Don't be surprised when the dude's got 450, 500 yards this game, along with Caleb Williams probably throwing for 350.
Yeah.
Give me Washington, though, against this Trojan teams.
I don't trust them. This one could be a really good game. It could get ugly. It could get out of hand if Washington's defense steps up. Obviously, USC's offensive line sucks. Caleb Williams is running for his life this weekend. But Washington's defense doesn't tend to be all that. So we'll see. We'll see in this one. This is our game of the week. To me, this is our game of the week. We talked about these guys earlier. Winning the West, becoming that team out of the SEC to go on and play Georgia in that championship. And now look where they are. They're tied for first place in the West there. This game ultimately could decide that spot. LSU is still my team to win the SEC. You scrap your way to a win in this one, and you're right there. You're probably playing Georgia in 5 weeks in that title game. And again, Georgia's wounded right now. They're hurt. LSU could sneak in that one. They could win that one as well. LSU is one of those teams right now in college football that is hitting their mid-season stride. They have looked really, really good lately. Alabama, while they had a really good bounce back second half last week, I don't know as though they're hitting that midseason stride. This team is young. This team is inexperienced. Saban's always a good coaching matchup. But that aside, LSU is still my pick for the championship there. So I'm going to ride with LSU in this one. LSU goes to Tuscaloosa, 7 p.m. They take one there. They stun that Alabama home crowd. LSU makes a statement this weekend.
I respect the loyalty, but that is crazy. Alabama at home in prime time is a whole different breed than Alabama at 1 p.m.
Is it this year?
On the road? That's one of the scariest places to play in the country, and I think Alabama, as young as they are, I think when they win this game, I don't think it's a blowout by any means. I think it's going to be a really good game, but I think Alabama takes it in the end.
I agree with Zach in this situation. As much respect as I have for this LSU football team, Jaden Daniels is playing really well, especially after that Ole Miss loss. But I don't know. I personally can't count out Nick Saban in any given point, at any given point in his career. Yeah, I agree with you. It is a young team. They are still very inexperienced. They still have probably a thing or two to learn. They're still trying to figure out certain things in the offense. But I still think that Nick Saban will walk away with the W in this one. Alabama will be in that SEC championship.
We'll see for sure. I'm excited for this one. I'm definitely staying up late to watch this one. We're going under the headlights here. We're going under the headlights for our upset game of the week here. Texas didn't get touched last week, but I'm telling you, it is coming. Kansas State is off of back-to-back 40-point blowouts. Are they against Texas? No, but this team is hitting a stride on both sides of the ball. They're dominating, which is all you ask. 4.5 points, I think, is a beautiful spread in this game. Texas is at home. Could make this one a lot tougher for K-State here. But I think Diet Kansas comes into this game again. Another petty Big 12 matchup here. Chris Kleiman is another one of those really petty Big 12 coaches. He bleeds Big 12, and he's going to want to come in here, and he's going to want to beat this Texas team on their way out. And to me, I think this is a beautiful upset pick. I think this game is really close, and I think the internet's raving after this one. Give me K-State.
I kind of like that. I think on this one I am going to side with you. I like Kansas State. I think the BYU game was a perfect one for Texas to have without Quinn Ewers. But I mean, like you've been kind of saying, like it wasn't a competition that is really worth anything. And I think the backup, I'm completely blanking on his name. The only one I can think of is Arch Manning, and I know that wasn't it.
No.
But I think Kansas State kind of comes in and lets them know that it kind of humbles them a little bit, lets them know that they're still hanging around in that conference race. I'm taking Kansas State.
I think I'm going to go the other way than you guys. I think this Texas team has something to prove, that they will not go away, that they deserve to be in that Big 12 championship game, especially after the season that they've had, beating Alabama early, losing in a close one against Oklahoma, obviously not looking good against a Houston team, which they, K-State blew out by 40, which is still Houston. TCU, another TCU being blown out by 40, that doesn't surprise me.
Joe
All
looked
that
up
being
those
said,
games.
I think Texas is one of those teams that you just look at and you like, okay, you have to be destined for something this year if you want to continue to be in that spotlight and potential for a playoff berth. Like if you are Texas, you still have a chance for that playoff.
I like it, Joe. We'll see. But with that said, that is college football. So we're going to keep rolling on through. We're at the halfway point here, which means we are on to NFL. But before that, hopefully you can't hear my dog barking like crazy. Sometime I'll have to introduce them to the fans here. But with that said, let's get to halfway heaters. This is a halfway point in the episode where we go over you guys' hot takes, our favorite hot takes that you guys delivered to us this weekend for us to go over on episode. We call it hot halfway heaters because it's halfway through the episode. It's your hot takes. They're the heaters. So
I don't know, hot cakes.
We got our first one here. Not very hot, not very spicy with this first one here, but as your guys are watching this tomorrow night or tonight, I guess, Tuesday night, the first college football playoff rankings come out. I think they start around like 7:00 is when coverage starts, and then they release the rankings.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, Frank.
First hot take here is Ohio State will be number one in the very first college football playoff rankings. The reason I say this isn't hot is because the college football playoff rankings, it's not done by journalists. It's not a popularity contest. It is done by guys who know football, who sit down at a round table and they figure this thing out. Smarter guys than us, for sure. And a big thing that they tend to look at is strength of wins. Ohio State has those two resume wins. You've got Penn State and you've got that big win over Notre Dame. Even if they start to look a little weaker going forward, which Penn State definitely does, Notre Dame definitely has, it doesn't matter. Those were still resume wins. You can't really say the same for Georgia as of now. You can't really say the same for Texas because they lost theirs to Oklahoma. You can't say the same for Michigan because they haven't played anybody yet, which is coming soon. So Ohio State to me has that biggest resume piece right now. So this one's not that hot. I just thought it was a good segue into the fact that we get rankings tomorrow.
For me personally, I still don't like Ohio State to be ranked number one just because Georgia hasn't done anything to lose that number one spot. I understand the whole like resume thing, and like I'm not going to be upset if I see Ohio State at one, but I don't think they should be. Because I mean, like I said, you got to beat the man to be the man, and Georgia hasn't dropped one yet. But if they're number one, then I'm cool with it because I like Ohio State.
I think at certain points this season, Ohio State has looked like the most complete team that we've seen in college football outside of a Georgia. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they were 1, Georgia 2. That would make sense to me. Either or, honestly. Georgia won, Ohio State too.
We've got an Ohio State team playing defense this year, boys. A physical Ohio State team.
Defense.
Yeah, I didn't think that was very hot to start out, but I like the segue into the fact that we're gonna get some rankings tonight as you guys are watching this. But let's get to the real hot takes. We got 2 NFL ones here. They're both receiver based. We got offensive rookie of the year to start here. Jordan Addison will win offensive rookie of the year. The original take was that he'll win it over Bijan Robinson. I respect the take, but Bijan Robinson is not in the race. No. I believe we were talking Puka Nacua and Jordan Addison here in this one. Nakua's got the yards. He's got, I think, like 680 some yards on the season. He's only got 2 touchdowns. Jordan Addison, while he's only got, I think, just hovering around 300 receiving yards, dude's gotten in the end zone, 6 or 7 times?
Man, boy, looks scary.
That's efficient. His route running is terrifying. Dude looks really good. Dude looks really good right now.
I think if he maintains his health like throughout the rest of the year, doesn't get banged up, and hopefully the quarterback situation doesn't go down as much with Kirk going down. But
I was gonna say, unfortunately, the Kirk thing makes this a much hotter take.
It makes it scalding hot.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised. He's a hell of a ball player. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, that was the one thing I was going to bring up was Kirk being gone. Definitely hurts it a lot because, I mean, the one big thing that Addison had was that, like, he wasn't the number one guy. And then, I mean, it was very similar. It's kind of flipped of what Puka's was. Like, he came into the season. I mean, he wasn't necessarily the number one guy, but turned into it very, very quickly without Kupp. And realistically might still have that number one spot right now. I think on the depth chart, he is technically number one.
Yeah.
And then Jordan Addison came into the season as a very clear 2 or 3, and then Jettas goes down and he steps up in a huge way.
Number one.
Sadly, I don't think it's realistic just because of Coach Haynes.
Well, I want to make it just a little bit hotter, boys. We're forgetting about CJ Stroud here as well. With this being one of those, young guy popularity contest awards, CJ Stroud's a quarterback. They don't get quarterback offensive rookie of the years almost ever. Stroud's at 1,200 yards. Don't remember his touchdowns, so I'm not even going to attempt there. But he's like 14th in the league in QBR. I mean, dude's balling. Dude's balling. It's not necessarily showing up in the win column, but he's a rookie, and this Houston team is ridiculously young. But you can see his production.
I mean, they're right there with the same amount of win. They might have one less win than like the Vikings and the Rams. So, they're definitely both up there.
They're definitely still winning, but again, stupid young team. So to see the production he's putting out with this group, I'm excited to see where that team continues to go. But this one is scalding hot. Jordan Addison is up against a lot here with his quarterback injury. He's up against a wall, and that doesn't help him there. The take
give me Tank Dell.
The take I am really, really excited for here. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this one.
Bonkers.
AJ Brown is currently the best receiver in the NFL. Before we dive into it, who's he going up against? Tyreek Hill.
I mean, Tyreek Hill's clear cut number one for me. I don't even think it's close still.
Okay. I mean, my 2 main ones were probably AJ and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Going into the season, you could have probably thrown Cooper Kupp in there, but he's been replaced by Puka.
I would have said maybe Jamar Chase.
Yep. Jamar Chase, the way he's been playing.
Climbing. He's climbing.
Jay Jettas,
obviously. Yep.
Yeah. For me, it's kind of like, as much as I hate to say it with how good these receivers are, it's kind of like Tyreek Hill is like in an echelon of his own because that man can do everything, and he has shown it this year. He's got over 1,000 yards already and is on pace to literally shatter the receiving record. And he's doing it alongside another guy who's also going to put up 1,300 receiving yards. He's doing all this. Granted, that offense is absurd to watch, but I guess AJ Brown also has a similar thing with Smith, but I don't think Smith is nearly as much
Brown
as we
just
thought he
broke
was.
Megatron's record, 6 straight games of 120 plus.
Give me Calvin Johnson or give me death, bro.
I get that.
I give AJ Brown all the respect in the world. He is the biggest, strongest, most physical target that you could throw to on the football field. And he can run great routes, and he can run really fast, and he can catch the ball better than a lot of 95% of the league.
That catch he had this week was crazy.
Don't discount AJ Brown, but also I tend to agree with Zach. I think Tyreek Hill has to be the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Go for it.
Sometimes this is going to be stupid. You should have just gone. Sometimes when like stores will discount things like $1.50 or something like that.
Where are you going with this?
That's kind of what I feel like with like Tyreek Hill and AJ Brown. It's like we just discounted like $1.50. Here you go.
Comparing prices to the neighboring store.
Dude, I work at a retail store. Give me a break.
Either way, I think overall my take here is if Jay Jettas is healthy, he's probably third to me. He's one of the most dangerous weapons in the NFL. Yes. This dude is almost a guaranteed catch. His route running is a little lacking to guys like Tyreek and Jay Jettas. And a few other things there. But dangerous weapon for sure. But to me, he's third there. So that one's pretty
also
hot.
Very good.
I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on that
receiver.
one. Yeah, he is. Big body, strong.
Big body gets in the way. Big guy.
We're on to NFL talk now, and I just want to start off with it. 49ers have dropped 3 straight now. After a 15-game regular season win streak, they have dropped 3 straight. Really nothing going whatsoever in a 31-17 loss to Cincinnati. I want to before we get into the 49ers here, I want to point out something the Bengals tweeted just before we podcasted, that they have now in their last 5 weeks ran through the entire NFC West. They beat the Seahawks, they beat the Cardinals, they beat the Rams, and they just beat the Niners. That's in their last 5 weeks. So yikes. But
good for them.
Thoughts on the game?
That's impressive.
Thoughts on the game? Let's just dive into this one.
We talked about it a little, Ethan. I think Brock Purdy is showing that he is not quite as calm as we thought he was. Obviously, losing Debo and not having one of your starting guards doesn't help. But he is missing throws that we weren't seeing him miss before. I mean, he's still putting up the yards, and that offense still looks good. But like he's struggling. He was making some reads he doesn't normally make this game. And he has like the last couple of weeks they put a lot of pressure on. There's a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy, especially after how he ended last season and how he started this season. And now he stepped in and already he didn't have to be that guy. He just had to be the guy. And now I literally just switched one word, but now he has to be like the guy in that offense. Like
my breakdown of the game is as follows. Couldn't get a run game established whatsoever. Offensive line wasn't opening up holes at all. Christian McCaffrey couldn't get anything going. So you're starting every drive behind the chains. Brock Purdy's running for his life. Obviously, Trent Williams not being there as Trent Williams is not helping this team. Brock Purdy led the team in rushing this weekend. Brock Purdy accounted for 91.3% of the team's total yards this weekend. The dude really kind of put the team on his back for the circumstances. McCaffrey's not McCaffrey right now. That offensive line is not healthy. With Debo not there, Ayuk has to do pretty much everything in the route tree himself. Debo was drawing a lot of doubles before. Route communication is not there right now. Go over to Kurt Warner's Twitter right now. Watch him break down the game. Watch him break down some of the routes that were happening. And he'll even show you previous games of how these routes were breaking down. And you had multiple series where you'd have a seam up the middle to draw that deep defender there, where Ayuk would normally cross right across the middle. And in previous games, it was run flawlessly to where this guy that's running the seam, trying to draw guys deep, was 5 yards past Ayuk by the time he makes his cut. Well, normally that's Debo. And this week you had them crossing ankles all weekend, forcing Brock Purdy to make reads that he doesn't normally make because normally Ayuk's there. Obviously, the Bengals watched some film this week, and they knew what was coming on a lot of these plays. They knew the routes that work frequently for the 49ers, and they shut it down. 49ers couldn't get screens going, couldn't get the run game going. Drives were stalled often and early in the beginning of the game. You had 2 drives that stalled at midfield on Brandon Ayuk drops on 3rd down. You're having to throw on 1st down because you can't get the run game established. A lot of things went wrong in this game that haven't been going wrong. You also look at the fact that the defense that was giving up 17 points per game in the beginning of the season is now giving up over 25. An offense that was literally scoring on the dot 30 a game every game is now scoring about 17 a game. So there's just a lot of things going wrong for this 49ers team here. You got a bye week. You come off of that bye week.
Much needed bye.
I was going to say,
you're going to be fully
going to
healthy.
be a huge thing. Injuries are going to be a huge thing. Injuries have been a huge thing, especially in the last 3 weeks. They've been beat up on defense, especially in the secondary. Their secondary is honestly what's hurting them on the defensive side of the ball.
Joe Burrow looked very good this week.
They did.
Their pass rush, Nick Bosa's not getting to the quarterback as we know Nick Bosa
The defenses
does.
looked horrible.
Eric Armstead is usually known for getting after the quarterback, is obviously not getting after the quarterback. Their front 7 is not looking like their front 7. They got to figure it out though if they want to continue to be good.
I went off a little bit there.
We'll see.
The reason I went off a little bit there is because
Brock Purdy's a fraud.
What you're seeing right now, I know you don't mean that. What we're seeing right now is Brock Purdy was picked last in the draft. Brock Purdy was not a light-skinned dude picked 3rd overall. He's not Trey Lance. So everything he's doing wrong is going to be amplified a million times, a lot like a Patrick Mahomes because he's that dude. And we definitely amplify Patrick Mahomes a lot like a Kirk Cousins. Everything Kirk does gets put right under a magnifying glass if it's bad, and if it's good, who cares? He's Kirk Cousins. And that's a lot of what Brock Purdy's getting right now when these losses are not on him. They're just not. A team effort, yes, and Brock Purdy recognizes that as the leader, as the quarterback of this team. He recognizes he has to be better. That's awesome. But I'm going to defend this dude. You see the hat. I'm going to defend this dude till I die right now. So, I don't know. That's why
I respect it. But, I mean, obviously this loss isn't on Purdy. But, realistically, it might be. Those 2 interceptions he threw were not good. And I understand, he doesn't usually make the reads. But the thing is he has to make those reads now. And it's kind of like to go back to college football a little bit, it was kind of like Texas. A quarterback has to step up, and they're at the end of the day, they're still the leader of the team, leader of the offense. Granted, they have Christian McCaffrey, so he doesn't have to be nearly as much of a leader. But when you're getting thrown in there, obviously, I have no idea what it's like to be thrown in an NFL quarterback as the last overall pick, or in general. I failed at being a quarterback in high school, but you do kind of have to make those reads, and maybe it's like he's not watching as much film as he thought he needed to going into this game. Maybe it's he just had an off day and his arm wasn't feeling it and was missing throws. But when he did make some of the right reads, he was either under or overthrowing it. For me, I'm just trying to be devil's advocate. I still like Brock Purdy. I still think he's a very good quarterback. They obviously have to get a run established because Brock Purdy isn't going to be able to do it on his own. And the difference between him and Kirk Cousins and Patrick Mahomes, obviously there's a lot. But the big thing is when Patrick Mahomes lost his biggest weapon week 1, he went somewhere else and he found it somewhere else. He made someone else step up. Kirk Cousins, when they have no run game, it's improving now. But Jay Jettas went down and he found Jordan Addison. And Brock Purdy just has to find his Jordan Addison.
Yeah, but another thing, like I said, those routes just have not been developing. And when you can't get a run game established whatsoever, that Cincinnati Bengals defense played really good this weekend.
Perfectly.
Brock Purdy really didn't have a lot of opportunities. Look at his first weird interception where he rolls out right on about the 7-yard line and tries to throw the ball with a defender already in his ribcage. It gets tipped up and intercepted. Again, go to Kurt Warner's post, watch him break that down. He probably should have given the ball on that read right away, but that would have probably got shut down too. If you look at his eyes, he looks to Kittle right away. Kittle was locked up, so he tries to run that ball. I don't think he should have tried to throw to a receiver there. I think he should have tried to throw it away or just go out of bounds. That's where the poor read comes in to me. But that play was just weird, and it got shut down. It got shut down immediately, like a lot of plays in this one.
It comes with experience. I mean, he'll get there. He'll definitely get there. He's shown it already.
What I will say for time constraints is we'll see. This team comes off a bye, and they come back fully healthy. They will have 0 injuries off of this bye, barring practice injuries. They'll have 0 injuries off this bye, and you get to go play the Bucs. So we'll see how that goes.
Honestly, give me Jimmy Garoppolo back.
But moving along here. Moving. I don't want to acknowledge that. Moving along here. The Commanders found a way to stop the tush push this weekend. Just for Philadelphia to show trick plays out of it. Disgusting, so cool. Dude.
That was so
cool. That was dope.
The tush push is not the point of this right now. I just thought it was a fun little segue there. Eagles once again struggled like Washington, like we thought. Pulled away at the end, kind of dominated there. Commanders kept it close with a late touchdown. But A.J. Brown made history this weekend, passing Megatron's 5 straight 125-plus yard receiving games with 6. Had some circus catches, had some crazy touchdowns, some big boy moves out there. Eagles got outgained this weekend by 100 yards. Only rushed for 57 yards total on the game, which is nuts. Gained just 20 first downs. They were 8 for 13 on third down, and they turned the ball over twice, and they still find a way to win this game by 7. Should have been 14. What are we thinking here?
I'm not surprised that this game went the way it did. We saw earlier this year and we saw last year. This Eagles team is predominantly known for struggling against this Commanders team and Ron Rivera. You play an ugly game like this, you look back and you say, well, thank goodness we won.
For sure.
But then you also have to look at it like, how did they attack us? What can we do to attack that in the future? Especially as you got stopped as the tush push. It's never happened all season. And finally it happens, and then we see a great play call out of it. Like it's good to see that little growth, that little experiment from Sirianni for sure.
But
Sirianni needs to play better, needs to coach a better offensive game overall, so we don't have to have the trick play push.
They've had that trick play in the bag for a long time. Was this really the game to break it out in? Because now it's there. Now every team knows it's there. But
they kind of needed it though this game, because their offense was not. I mean, it was clicking, but like it wasn't. They were down, I think, 14-0 at one point.
Another question I have: does the trick play option make the tush push even scarier? Because now as a defense, it's possible. You almost have to defend it a little, because that's a touchdown. If a defense is really locked in on that tush push, that's a touchdown every time. Every single time. Swift got around that edge, no pun intended, but it's intended, swiftly. And he, there's nobody catching that out there. If you're locked in, are we
talking about Taylor Swift again?
If you're locked in on that tush push, that's a touchdown from 80 yards. I don't care.
Where's the title?
But I think it almost makes the play scarier. Now that defenses know that trick play option is there, you almost have to defend it just a little bit different.
Some people call it cheating. Well, that's just cheating to the max at that point. That's just cheating to the max.
At this point, I think the play might get banned.
You got a trick play that's going to win. Like, come on now.
That play's dirty.
At this point, I think the tush push might get banned.
We'll see.
Which I think is stupid, but that's not the topic.
Hey, Nick Sirianni said it best. If every team could do it, they would do it. And every team has tried to do it, and they have failed. No one does it quite like the Eagles do.
Yeah, that's true.
You ban the tush push, I'd stop watching NFL. That's not true at all. I doubt that.
Eagles now have the top record in the NFL. We little Thursday sneak peek. We putting them number 1 in our power ratings, or are they still getting faded there?
I think I honestly, full honesty, I think I still put the Ravens at 1.
Okay.
just because, I mean, this week we saw the Ravens. They didn't nearly put up the points that they did against the Lions, but I'm not talking about that game. They still played really well. They didn't need to do what they did against the Lions.
Yeah. They still
again this week, and they still handled them.
Yeah, they still dominated that Cardinals team.
And I think I don't think the Eagles are quite to. I mean, obviously they have the best record in the NFL. I think, they have the best record in the NFL. I don't think they're at the Ravens level. I think their defense still has some improvement they need to do. And I still
struggle in that red zone. And you're going.
And I mean, then they got exposed by Sam Howell on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
shout out to him.
They had a really good game. They had a really good game on offense. Couldn't get it done, but really good game. We're gonna go a little quicker through this next part because it sucks.
It's a sad one.
Kirk Cousins is out for the season. It is confirmed he tore an Achilles tendon. It sucks. Really big Kirk guy myself. I think this dude gets a lot of heat for nothing. Really big fan of what he does on the football field. Sucks to see him go down. Sucks to see another season full of injuries for the Vikings. Hoping for a speedy recovery for Kirk. We talked about the question on the screen a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, the question is now being forced because there's no shot he comes back to Minnesota. What's next? What's possibly next for Kirk Cousins and quite possibly Justin Jefferson, who wants to play with Kirk?
I think he's. I don't want to see it because I think he looks good in the Vikings uniform. As a Lions fan, I don't want to play him, so I'd be 100% okay if he moved on. Him and Jed has moved on. I'd be okay if he left. I would be, as an NFL fan, I'd be sad. As a Lions fan, I'd be okay with it. I think there's one team that they should look to get a quarterback from, that quarterback that can kind of fill in, and we're going to talk about him in a second. I think it's Ryan Tannehill. I think Ryan Tannehill can throw the football a little bit, but I don't really think there's anyone else in the NFL that they could get.
They're talking about grabbing Jameis Winston.
That's disgusting.
I have also heard, though, today that the Vikings are not shopping for a quarterback.
Because they're rookie, right?
Yeah, they got a rookie. I mean, give them a chance. Why not?
Actively, they are not shopping for a quarterback. Even though I got all these rumors earlier today saying Tannehill's a good fit, Kyler Murray, and a potential return to one of his favorite teams.
Let's be full clear here. Tannehill's not a good fit for any team. He is a bad quarterback.
Well, I'm not trying to. I'm just saying, like, a veteran guy who could get you through the rest of your season. Ryan Tannehill wouldn't be a bad look. It'd be better than maybe not Jameis. I don't know. I have a lot of love for Jameis.
I do too, but Jameis ain't no NFL winner in my eyes. It sounds like they're really excited about that rookie. It sounds like that locker room when they drafted him was really excited about that rookie.
I was excited to see him until his first play he fumbled the ball.
Well, that happens. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what they go with. They might go with that rookie, and they might still get a veteran in there just because you got to have quarterbacks. You can't have a 49ers where you're literally down to no quarterbacks, which all happened in one game. So that's not like they could have controlled that. But you just can't have that. So they'll probably shop someone. I don't know who, but they'll probably shop someone. Maybe you got a practice squad quarterback to call up. I don't know.
They'll get Cam.
Maybe. Where could we see, back to the question, where could we see Kirko and possibly Jay Jettas next?
I don't want them to go anywhere.
I would either.
I like them in Minnesota.
Yeah,
I also do.
I don't think you guys have a choice.
I know, but damn, like, are you serious? You're gonna kick Kirk to the curb after?
I guarantee they will.
Yeah, let's look at. How about you guys guess who I'm thinking?
Atlanta would be the place that I would want Kirk Cousins to go.
I like that. There's a team that I've got on my mind
around them.
What do you got, Zach?
Has a quarterback that currently isn't doing
very good. Are you watching him on your screen right now?
There is a chance
the Raiders.
On my screen. I don't think that's a bad. Could you imagine Devontae Adams and Jettas lining up next to each other with Josh Jacobs in the backfield and emerging defense and Kirko Chains coming? Oh my gosh, a quarterback that's efficient, not throwing 75 interceptions.
It's doable because that Raiders team is not expensive right now. Kirk would be cheap. Jay Jettas would be possibly doable. You might have to clear up
That
some
would
room,
be
but I
where
think
it's kind of
it'd be doable.
struggle.
I think you'd take a hit in some other places, possibly that defense, which the Raiders cannot afford. But I mean, the weapons are there. That'd be dangerous. That'd be cool to see. I don't know if I want to
It'd
see
be
it.
super dope.
I don't know if I want to see it in a Raiders uniform, but it'd be cool. It'd be cool to see for sure.
I'd be kind of cool to see it because then Lions wouldn't have to face them
There you go. There
for
you
another
go.
4 years.
Again, we'll move on from that one. I don't want to talk about Kirk anymore. I'd also love to see him stay with the Vikings, but again, business
healthy
wise, I
soon,
don't see it
Kirk.
happening.
Ask Aaron Rodgers what he's doing.
Best of luck to you, Kirk. I don't know if Kirk wants to go experimental, but either way, Will Levis' debut was one to remember. We just talked about Tannehill. He's likely finished with Tennessee. Maybe not. We'll see. But Will Levis, fantastic debut. And you're gosh darn right, I got the Houston Oilers logo up on the screen because those uniforms are beautiful.
Those are sick.
But either way, Levis had a great first game, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns. Will Levis was projected really high. I think a lot of Will Levis being projected really high was a little bit of media sensationalism that should not have happened. I don't think he was ever actually that high on anyone's boards. But he drops, I think, 33rd pick, second round. His girlfriend breaks up with him, ditches him for Morgan Wallen. This dude entered a dark place. He entered a dark place, and he came out of it, man. He came out of it this weekend, came out of it a warrior. I think my favorite part, I don't care about the stats, I don't care about the win. It was fun to watch for sure. My favorite part is that family embrace after the game, man. You see him go up. He's got a front row of, I think, 6 family members. They're all crying. They're all hugging each other. That's awesome. That is awesome. To see, here's the thing. To see your son, because he's still a kid at this point. I mean, Will Levis was, 22 years old, 23 years old? To see your son
like that, yeah.
go into the dark place we saw Will Levis go into and then see him do this on Sunday, I mean, that's got to be exciting as a parent. And now this dude's, he might have the job. He came out in his moment, he shined, and he might have the job now. I think those embraces are really cool to see to me.
Yeah, it was super cool. But one of the, obviously Will Levis playing how he did was awesome to see. But one of the other things that was great to see is D-Hop coming kind of out of nowhere and having 2 touchdowns for 30 plus yards. And he had 3 total touchdowns on the game.
Yep.
And
Rookie knows his weapons,
awesome.
man. Rookie knows his weapons.
Yeah, I mean, you grow up idolizing a guy. You're going to give him the football.
Yeah.
I'm very glad they didn't give this to Malik Willis. I think they would have crumbled if Willis would have played.
Speaking of that,
I was kind of high on him on our old podcast, if you remember it.
Levis commented on that because Willis did play a little bit, but his first snap he fumbled, gave the ball to their opponent there. Crowd was booing him. Crowd was booing Malik Willis hard. Home crowd booing Malik Willis hard.
Yeah, that's disrespectful.
Will Levis comments on that after the game. They did not have a good taste in their mouth after that one. That did not make the team happy there because that's still one of their guys, man. Don't like to see that stuff. These guys are young. I mean, Willis is in his second season too. Like, come on.
I would like to quote Mr. DeAndre Hopkins after the game. He said that I feel like Geno because they all wrote me off.
Mm-hmm. He's here.
They really kind of did.
Don't write off the. I can't. In the offseason, he was spotted in Kansas City. Prime opportunity to get a number 1 guy for the Kansas City Chiefs, and we just let him walk. And now he's in Tennessee, and obviously he is the number 1 guy, and he will continue to be the number 1 guy. Will Levis knows that, and he should exploit DeAndre Hopkins because he is that guy.
What do you mean? The Chiefs got Mecole Hardman back.
They did.
How's that overturn feeling?
Back to topic though. Really excited about what Will Levis is going to do going forward. I hope he stops putting mayonnaise in his coffee, but I hope this dude
absolutely grim.
I hope this dude succeeds in the league. It sucked to see him drop the way he did. You don't want to see a human being go through what he had to go through there. But dude's a dog. And he came out of it and he looked really good this weekend. So we'll see how that continues. With that said, we kept a really good pace tonight, boys. Are we ready for parlay party? We ready to wrap this thing up?
Parlay party.
We again didn't hit last weekend. Texans let us down, and unfortunately, the Chiefs let us down as well. But 3-2, we are now sitting at 19-16. That record looked a lot better 2 weeks ago. But we're gonna scrap our way back. We're gonna hit one of these at some point. Let's get into these, boys. Any of these? Again, I'm sorry. For those of you who are new here, Parlay Party, we sit down at the end of every, for you guys, Tuesday night, and we put together our best NFL weekly winners parlay. We're picking 5 winners for you guys. No spreads. Well, yeah, spreads. We got spreads and money lines. We're just picking what we can here for our best thoughts. A lot of close spreads this week. We're going to give you 5 of them. We're going to give you a juice pick, a little riskier, hopefully boost the odds there. Every single one of these is plus 1,000 or better so far. So $10 would win you anywhere from around the 160 range to, I think one of them has been like 420. That 421 was the closest one so far. But either way, let's get right into this. What's sticking out? A lot of 2.5 point spreads. A lot of 2.5 point spreads.
I don't like these.
No, I don't like these either.
A lot of them.
Can I be honest?
What do you got, Joe?
No. The Packers minus 2.5 is ridiculous.
I was gonna say that.
Look at
That's ridiculous.
Look at the fact that all these favorite teams are also at home.
I know, yeah, but Jordan Love sucks.
Just saying, Vegas has been closer than us.
The other one I was gonna say, and
we also could go full money lines today. So
hate me if you want. This is not me hating the Chiefs. I don't think the 2.5 point spread for the Chiefs Dolphins is also reasonable, especially with Jalen Ramsey coming back.
It's ridiculous.
I think that's absurd.
It should be 7 the other way.
And the Patriots being 2.5 point favorites on the Commanders, I think is also crazy.
Yeah, I
agree with that as well.
I guess the Falcons being a favorite.
Boys, do we just want to skip parlay party?
This is disgusting.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins win by 20, the Rams win by at least 10.
Are we doing all juice picks this week?
The Commanders are gonna beat the Patriots. I don't be surprised.
I'm gonna be honest with you, just cause I really like Eagles money line over the Cowboys.
That's about the only one I can look at and be like, yep.
Cowboys
and the
Cowboys,
not even the Browns game.
Cowboys in the last 4 seasons, after blowouts against the spread, I believe are 1-9. Just saying. Now the spread is 2.5 points, so it's not like it's a steep spread here. But I don't know. I kind of like that Eagles money line there. We'll see. Again, not any of these really sticking out to anybody. One I actually do like a lot, Bengals to beat the Bills. Bengals at home. Bengals have absolutely been rolling lately. Bills have not looked like the Bills, and I really don't think that's looking up anytime soon. That is Sunday Night Football. So we'll see. Josh Allen.
That's going to be so fun.
Josh Allen in primetime, we'll see. I like that one though. We gotta get some rattled off here.
Honestly, the only one that's kind of sticking out to me is the Saints-Bears game, and I think the Saints will cover it. I don't think the Bears are very good.
You think Saints 5.5 at home?
That's about the only one that I can confidently say I would do as a cover.
I actually really like that one as well. I think Saints ended up beating the Colts this weekend. That Saints offense has really been clicking lately. That Bears defense is not good. I like Saints minus 5.5. That's a good start. I like Commanders money line over the Patriots.
Yeah.
I think there we go. We got 2 of them there.
Browns 7.5 versus the Cardinals.
That's what I'm looking at. But PJ Walker, I mean, it's PJ Walker.
PJ Walker had that great David Njoku connection this weekend. We could just go Browns money line. I mean, Browns to beat the Cardinals is fairly safe.
They're gonna beat the Cardinals.
Browns at home money line. How about Rams? How about our juice pick? Rams go on the road and beat the Packers. Rams money line.
Absolutely.
I think that
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get double juicy. Dolphins go on the road.
Dolphins over Chiefs.
Beat the Chiefs.
Yes.
Let's get triple juicy. Panthers beating the Colts.
Well, now we're on 6.
Oh.
I actually really don't mind everything we just said there. We got Saints 5.5, Commanders money line. A lot of juice picks here, actually. Saints 5.5, Commanders to go on the road and win. We got Rams to go on the road and win, Dolphins to go on the road and win, and we've got Browns to win outright at home against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
For sake of the fact that these spreads this week suck, let's just lock that in. Let's just lock that in, and let's pick a garbage shoot game and get out of here. I'm gonna be honest with you. Garbage shoot game is Bills Bengals. Even if it's 1.5 points, makes this even more of a garbage shoot. Because Vegas obviously knows this is gonna be a close game. Yeah.
Honestly, it'd be that one or the Eagles-Cowboys ones that you talked
Eagles,
about.
Cowboys.
I don't think I would touch that game either.
Garbage shoot between garbage teams, Raiders, Giants. But I think the Giants have been picking it up pretty good lately. I think they
but they just lost Tyrod.
True. No, Bengals, Bills.
Tommy DeVito.
Those bottom three there, the last 3 games of the night on Sunday. Last 3 games of the day on Sunday are probably our 3 garbage shoots. But yeah, I like our picks.
Since you brought him up, did you see that the total net yards for the Giants passing yards in the second half was -2?
Cheapers.
How does that even happen?
Yeah, that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it
yards
for Parlay Party, which means it's also gonna do it for episode 8. We're closing in on double digits. Technically, we've hit double-digit episodes with our lives. Catch those, by the way, if you've made it to this point in the episode. We'll be live Thursday night, 7 o'clock. A lot of action on Thursdays. Either way, that's gonna do it for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you made it to this point. If you did, again, subscribe. If you're listening over on podcast, give it a follow over there. Let us know how you guys are feeling.
Let us know.
I mean, conversate down below. We'd love to talk to you guys, get your guys' thoughts, give us suggestions. We're willing to flip on a dime. We're willing to make changes, make this thing as enjoyable for you guys as possible. But that said, we hope you guys enjoyed it tonight. We love you guys, and we'll see you Thursday night. Peace.